sound. Like, welcome to FlyOver Day, you know? We get silly with it. We could do it a million ways.
We can do it whatever way we want to.
This is...
FlyOver Statements, episode 2, actually episode 7.
But, the first ones are private. You gotta know somebody that knows somebody to get that shit.
Yeah, we got the plug. Black Market Podcasts.
Yeah. Big money in bootlegging our own podcast before we
bootlegging our own. The Beatles used to do that.
Really?
Bootleg, or the Rolling Stones. I'm sure maybe the Beatles. But yeah, the Rolling Stones bootlegs used to go for hundreds of dollars.
So they record their own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like,
hey,
fuck
shit.
these record contracts.
Shit.
Yeah. Once again, I'm NATO.
I'm Sam.
We're here, Indiana boys.
For the time being, anyway.
So since I wanted to address a few things since the last time we did this. We live in a very strange time, and the more and more like I look into our society, I guess in America, I just want people to be okay with themselves, and I want people to understand that they have value. Yeah. And that sounds very cliche.
Absolutely.
But I think we were trying a little too hard to offer not even maybe more than what we actually have. But as you said right before we started off air that let's talk about gardening because we got that. And yeah, I learned a lot from listening to it. I did. I'm a gross person. And
yes, we all are.
No, yeah, of course, as a joke, but no, for real. Disgusting.
Part of being human.
I just hate the way I look.
Yeah.
I do not picture my voice coming out that way.
Yeah, I can see what you mean.
I'd be more of a...
Yeah. I feel the same way about my own voice. When it took me several years of listening to recordings of myself to get comfortable with
oh yeah, when you were
a high pitched, obnoxious fucking.
Shut that fucker up!
Exactly. I don't know if I'd even like me, really.
Yeah.
I hope so, but.
Ooh, that's a good question. I think I'd hate myself if I met myself.
I feel like I'd annoy me, but then I also could run the other scenario. We're thinking the same way. Maybe we get along great.
That's true. We'd understand each other.
As long as there's no big ego conflict and
Well, I think that'd be the thing. You'd literally be battling your ego, which, as a, somewhat conscious person, you're trying to do anyway. Yeah. Just imagine if that was manifested in the material.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
I think the real question is, I heard this one way back when I was a lot younger, but so if you had a clone of yourself and you fucked your own clone, is that gay or is that just jacking off?
Well,
because it's you. You know what I mean?
There's schools of thought out there that thinks anything. Sodomy is just banging and not trying to make a kid. So if you approach it from a biblical standpoint, any sexual act, you could have a wife and get a blowjob, and that's gay. If gay just means sodomite.
Oh, okay. I understand. But that's the Old Testament, going to Deuteronomy and within the, I think it's called the Pentateuch, the first 5 books, which is Genesis, whatever. I'm a little lost on it. But Deuteronomy is one of those first 5. I think that's the one that lays out all the laws, and Leviticus. And they're ridiculous, though. They're basically, like you said, any type of sex that is not explicitly for procreation is viewed as negative and sinful. And I think that aspect of Christianity probably did a lot of harm to the human psyche in Western culture. Yeah.
Well, I mean, how are you going to have a society where the Vaticans believe that, and then advertising is the most sexual industry? How are you just going to have a billboard of titties and being oh, by the way, if you even think about fucking that chick, like that's a sin.
Yeah, but I think that's the whole marketing attempt of that is like trying to indulge people in that like feeling naughty kind of thing. Like it created a whole weird psyche around sex in general.
Yeah, well, I struggle with it now because I've gotten more based than I thought I would at this time in my life, and I'm not saying that I'm hella based. I have still completely dependent on the beast. I just quit. I like started making the attempt about a year ago to quit watching porn, and so far, like it's way harder than I thought. I pretty much relapse. I don't even want to use the term relapse because I'm not going to feel bad about it. Like, just it is what it is. Like, I'm just going to know what it is. About every 3 months, the longest I've gone is like 4.5 months. It's fucking hard, dude. Just growing up with like just porn in your pocket.
Like an instant convenience culture, and yeah, from the time we've been teenagers, you know, even a little bit before that, all we ever had to do was find a computer, go to a search engine, look up pussy, like
Yeah.
boom, it's right there, and it got easier and easier as time went on. I think we have a problem in America of turning sex into a product and a commodity and viewing it as just like a, you know, a pleasure and escape and indulgence
Right.
instead of the whole picture of, you know, what should be a joyous and celebrated thing. I think that sex, first of all, feels great. It's hella fun. That's how you bring forth life into this world. Like, that should be, I don't want to say celebrated, because it doesn't even have to be flaunted and whatever, but appreciated in a wholly different way.
Yeah.
Whereas there is like a tendency to just naturally look at it as something dirty or sinful or wrong in most of the world, I would imagine,
Well,
especially in Western society.
I think hookup culture, man.
And that's
okay, what?
a part of the same beast. you
Yeah,
know?
but what you just said,
Instant
it's fun
convenience.
and it's like human. It is. I mean, no, it's animalistic as well, but it's a very human thing to want to have sex. But the more in tune you are with your partner, and like we said last time, like I hit on all these same points and I'll do it again.
Yeah.
Like the more in tune you are, the more committed you are, the more you like deeply care, the better the sex is going to be. So I can see, like it says, I only know this from listening to Owen. Yeah, it's better to stab your eyes out than lustfully look at a woman's ass. Like Jesus said that.
No, that's not. That's Old Testament. Jesus didn't.
Oh, yeah, if that's Old Testament.
Well, now I'm conflating two different verses.
No,
Yeah,
I don't
Old
need, I
Testament
can't even
stuff.
quote it. But I know the dude doesn't lie. Like, if anything, he's...
Oh, it's in the Bible, 100%.
Yeah. And I, like, knowing what I know now is that, like, yeah, when you're a young man going through puberty and you have those hormones, like, all you want to do is fuck. And you don't have the life experience to know what's worth what. Or, like, what,
exactly.
like, in the whole entire karmic, like, currency of, like, put it, like...
And that, like, the easy hookup convenience culture robs the spirituality away from most of the sexual experience.
So I'm just saying that's just that alone. As I understand why they're like, yeah, y'all shouldn't be fucking. But if you're gonna go that far, explain why. And we said this the last stream, like you're focusing on the bad part of humanity and then focusing on the bad parts of that part. So like when you're like, you just saying sex has to wait until marriage. Don't tell me what not to do so I can just be thinking about that. Like the subconscious doesn't pick up on don't do this. Like if you're like, yeah, don't go outside naked. All you hear is outside naked in your subconscious.
When I was a little kid, I dialed 911 because of that. They kept telling us at school, Like if you have dial 911, dial, and I was all I
You're
could
like,
hear in my
I'm
head
gonna
when I
dial
went home.
911.
Fuck it, 911. Cop showed up like 20 minutes later. I got a lecture.
But yeah, like, kids are so. I wouldn't listen to shit if I wasn't into it as a kid. So
Yeah.
I can offer all this advice and what I think should change, but I don't know in reality if that's going to work. But explain like why you'd want to wait.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I know.
I think the general idea and foundation there is a good one. The idea of like, wait until you have a true partner to share your life with to begin this part of your journey. Bond with someone for life, create a family unit. Like there's an entire structure of society there, and we seem to have misplaced a lot of that in this culture. And I think it does relate a lot to, starts with birth control, really. The birth control pill changed the world, and the easy availability of condoms, the empowerment of women and their entry into the workforce. Instead of men starting to behave better and accommodate women more, instead women kind of push themselves, or we push them into a role of becoming more dirty like men, rather than us fixing our shit. We opened the door, they did the same thing. So if everybody's doing that, you no longer have a stable family unit, and now it's why the state raises the kids most of the time.
Yeah.
Both parents are working.
No, the whole that's really been bugging me.
There was a great idea behind marriage, be with one person. There's a foundation there that works, regardless of whether or not it's the right way to live or the only way. It is a foundation that builds stable, fertile societies.
Yeah, that raises a lot of things. So, what's the answer? Let's go with what we kind of picked to talk about first. I recommend making any step in the general dependency of being self-sufficient and not being dependent, not independent, because unless you're the Amish, Mennonite.
Yeah, we're all dependent on some arm of, the supply chain.
Right, that's another false binary, independence or dependence. Like, no, that's not right.
There's a middle ground. There's shades of color to that picture.
Yeah, and it is, I will say, it's almost synchronicitous, if that's an adverb. Synchronous.
Synchronicitous. Ooh, most of the time, it's...
I accept it.
Synchronous would be like the accepted word that exists.
Okay.
But synchronicitous, there's a little bit of a difference. Because
I get where you're going. Like,
one would be things that are synchronized. The other would be like there are a lot of synchronicities occurring.
Well, I think it is somewhat in sync. You went out to your parents. Our parents live in the same general location, relatively, out in that country, and you did some rototilling.
Yeah,
I wasn't fully aware, because I'm a horrible communicator digitally, that my father was driving down to Indy to rototill this little patch that I already dug up, and then a little more.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was funny.
And I showed up. It was funny. I finished making my garden patch. I drove down here. It's about an hour drive, and I show up and walk, around your back porch. And you and your dad are out there digging up a little garden patch, just like
I find that funny.
Those kind of things have happened to me an outrageous amount since about this time last year.
Yeah.
The last year, like the level of synchronicity and things matching up has been through the roof.
What I kind of think is that it's always happening. It's just how much are you paying attention when it's not happening, so you can be understanding of when it is happening. Like it's all understanding, knowledge, and then the wisdom, to where seeing the synchronicities is wisdom. Observing things separately to bring them together is the knowledge, and then putting them together is the understanding.
Sure.
We're going back to biblical shit, baby.
The Bible is a useful book in so many different ways.
Yeah.
Now, I wouldn't call myself a Christian because I'm not a fan of the church, but
Yeah,
Jesus'
no, but
ideas
you
kick
can be a
ass.
Christian and not be a part of a church.
And then there's the stuff in the Old Testament, like the Solomon books, like Psalms and Songs and
Proverbs.
yes. There's several of them, and Ecclesiastes is my favorite. I'm not sure if it was written by Solomon or not, but Ecclesiastes is where the phrase "nothing new under the sun" comes from.
Okay.
It's structured almost like little poems. There is a time to love, there is a time for war, blah blah blah. Nothing new under the sun. And I think it's supposed to be a story of this old guy kind of imparting his wisdom to this younger guy, telling him what he's learned in life. And there's stuff like that in the Bible, very useful. But the church, not a big fan of.
Yeah, no, I don't even consider that as like a resource
Yeah.
at all. But anyway, gardening.
Food. Yeah. Last year, I did the same thing last year, but I was dealing with, my dad was sick with cancer, ended up dying. I had too much going on to properly tend to it. But I had two, real long rows of green beans. And I was able to pick those like every couple days for months. I had grocery bags full of green beans. I am just like out the ass. So I'm doing that again this year. I know that much. And I'm trying to go the natural route. I rototilled by hand. I'm probably going to, when I plant, use like a hoe and make my little seed path by hand. And yeah, I like to do it like that. There's a good feeling I get from the hard work.
Oh,
this
yeah.
year I'm going to try to really bring it together and grow some shit I can eat. I'll bring you some.
Yeah.
I'll send some to the viewers out there. If anybody wants some fruit or vegetables, whatever I can grow, I'll send you something. If you give me your address, it'll be a few months. Get some green beans in the mail.
Dude, I started listening to this podcast. They sent me some green beans.
I'll put like a little sticker on it or something. It'll be great.
Dude.
FlyOver statement beans.
Yeah, I got broccoli, cauliflower, kale, spinach, green onions, green beans, sugar snap peas, all just in little starter cups. Most of them are at least an inch, but this is the first, I've been on my dad's property. He went hard. He did like 6 foot little rows and 2 or 3 rows of each plant, but he did like 12 to 15 different plants.
Oh, nice.
But he didn't weed it. So
that's always my problem. That's the hard part.
And by the way, like a cucumber vine, zucchini vines, watermelon, and cantaloupe vines,
Yes.
you need one. Like for me and Emily, that's the only people here.
Oh, yeah, you can grow a lot off one.
We had literally every time we'd go out and pick, we'd have an armful of foot-long zucchinis, like a full ass.
You know what? There's got to be a way to help. Okay, because if I grow a garden, right, I end up with these vegetables I have too much of. There's got to be people out there that want them.
Have you ever heard of a farmer's market?
Yeah, of course. But there's got to be a way, or someone should create an app or a network just for people to.
Yeah, it's called Bataria Times. Swear to God, dude, that's all it's for.
But the large enough user base, I mean, something like universal, that's the issue. There's a lot of little things like that exist, but there's not.
Yeah. Like a Facebook marketplace.
I was thinking that as I said it. There are options. But I think that's one place that hopefully will grow a lot more in time, and we can get people kind of synced up with where there is need and where there is excess. So I've thrown away tons of not on purpose, but because I didn't know who or where to give it to. I had extra green beans and shit ended up thrown in the backyard. And somebody somewhere would have probably eaten those.
Yeah. No, that's like the saddest thing when you put all this.
But you're right. I could just give them away on Facebook, and somebody would probably claim them. There are options. Just a network or an app to directly connect a little bit more of that would be really cool.
Yeah, but
extra produce app.
So I haven't put much money. I bought seeds. I took seeds from some of my produce, but I'm a little sketched out of what's that shit, huh?
Yeah.
But just how cheap it is, and I have no idea what it's like to do it on a mass level.
Yeah.
But then, when you go to the grocery store and one apple is $1 to where they just grow. Like,
Yeah.
they say there's no such thing as a money tree. And they were like, yeah, there is, bitch. It's called produce.
Yeah.
And you're going to buy and you're going to pay what is dictated.
Yeah, pretty much.
But I'm stoked. So I got the garden rototilled. I doubled. I had like 4 feet by about 32 feet. Little garden bed, 8 inches deep. And I was going to use, he lives on some creek bed property. I was going to use some of his black topsoil because we have really nutrient dense clay in Indiana. Like it is primo stuff.
It's very hard sometimes, but
yeah, but
no, it grows. I mean, that's probably why there's so many farmers here.
Yeah.
So much corn and
due to school and work, man, I just couldn't make it out there. So we just put the dirt back, rototilled it, and there is something magical about just putting these little seeds in the ground.
Oh yeah.
And really like seeing life just
blossom.
Literally sprout and blossom. So as I sit here, what I want to do after observing the last stream is like really just start hitting a lot of the dumb shit I still do. Like I was just drinking a Monster, sugar-free Monster energy drink.
Drinking a Dr. Pepper.
Right. Like I have no authority.
I don't do often, but it's nasty shit.
I have no authority to say I'm this man or that man compared to other men. So I am 100% dependent on the beast, and this garden just gives me so much hope.
That's one thing that I hope could possibly sprout out of COVID and the little panic and fear that ensued is if it drives a few more people to like start a garden, be a little more independent, stock up a little, be prepared. That's a net positive that can be taken from it, regardless of how absurd the whole thing has gotten. But
as we were saying out in the driveway, it would take, Hunt said it'd take 3 days for a big city to run out of food. Mm-hmm. We have put so much. It's like the same thing with an insurance scam. Like everybody's paying for insurance, and these companies are making so much money just on the bet that not everybody's going to need to use that money, and like all cash in on their insurance. But like if 50% of insurance clients all filed claims like on the same day. I don't know the numbers, but
that's how our whole banking and financial system.
Yeah, that's how our whole supply chain, banking, logistic.
Everything. We're overextended. Everything is based on credit, which is another word for debt. Like everything is borrowing from someone to repay later at ever increasing amounts. It seems unsustainable. The expectation, like if you buy stock in a company, the shareholder goal is infinite growth. Nobody wants something that's going to lose money. So every single company out there and every single stockholder is looking for infinite growth. At some point, don't you think I don't know, we're very innovative. Maybe it is possible, but at some point we'll certainly exhaust the resources on this planet if we keep going at that rate, and we'll have to figure some shit out. We'll have to reinvent some shit. Like, I don't know. Humans are clever. I think we can get through it, but there's a lot of stuff that we have set up in kind of a negative fashion in the last century.
Yeah, well, it's all profit-based. I think that's... We need to shift. And so when I say we, I need to shift my priorities. Instead of... Like, I swear I have almost broken the money spell. Because I'm 30, man, and I've never had... The most I've ever had... like in the bank is a little over $6,000. Mm-hmm. And now I mean I have investments, so that's not even money until I turn it into money. dude, yeah, it's a shitty way to live. It's a shitty way to live, and I don't. If I end up having children, God willing, I don't want to make. I don't.
Yeah.
It gives me so much anxiety. Like I don't even know how to break it down. Just how much anxiety money gives me, and how easy it is for me to turn to that green little monster of like. Sometimes when you're talking about your gains, man, like it's getting easier for me to just observe it and notice it and let it pass. Just been like, yeah, wouldn't that be nice? And it's like, wait, I'm sitting over here. I've like I have I have a list of shit that I'm grateful for. Yeah, like, why is that voice not louder than the fucking like,
You gotta amplify it.
Yeah.
I think that's the case with all things. The energy that you feed becomes the energy you receive. And I think that applies to even fears and doubts you have about yourself or, all these different things. They end up, you attract more of whatever you're on the vibration of. Whatever you think a lot about, particularly things that you have real strong feelings, either really positive towards, really negative towards, those are usually things you bring your way. So, I don't know, a neutral middle ground is kind of where I found myself a lot in life. Of course, I have a lot of hard opinions, I do shit, so I have to make decisions, but I kind of I try to take like an emotional middle ground and not let things get me super riled up one way or the other, because I've noticed I bring them to myself. Like when I get anxious and start freaking out, everything starts going wrong. It starts out as a fear that it will happen for no reason, and then it does. So the way I've learned to navigate that is just to try and stay on a positive track, look at what you can be grateful and appreciative for, focus in on that, amplify that volume, and turn down the other one. And I think, in my case, I had a unique experience to get there because I was locked up for 3 years, and doing 3 years at a time, like when you get to jail, you lose all of your family, friends, possessions. You lose everything, and they put you in like a 6x8 or 8x10 cage, usually with some stranger that's also in there for committing a crime. And if anything you do is a felony, you're probably in with a violent guy, and you're just stuck there. Like you don't have your phone to call and let anybody know, reach out to your friends. You don't have the games to play, shit to do to pass the time, neighbors to talk to. Like they take away everything. And I think going through that changed my view on life. That after, a couple months of sitting and thinking over that, the shit that you really want and really appreciate when you're in that down and out state is the shit that really matters. And to me, that was like my family, my friends, my freedom, fuck everything else. If I'm waking up in the morning, I got breath in my body, somebody that loves me, and I'm in a safe place, and I got some food to eat, like, I'm good. And I have lived that ever since. Yeah. I really think so.
Yeah, no, I agree. I've been, I put myself through the ringer. I haven't done that much time, but I've had to sit in my mind because, I won't even get into it. But actually I was getting off Zoloft. I'm like 2 months, a little plus off, 60 some days. I don't know, but about after 25 days, it was just waking up, and my mind was taken from me. Like,
Ooh.
Like you can take all my shit, and I'll mourn. Mm-hmm. But you numb out my soul and all the relationships that like feed me.
Yeah.
Man. So I did a little Dimitri.
Yeah.
And I just remember, like, I have all this anxiety about school. I thought about all these little work gripes and, like, none of that. Like, dude, just watching it almost, like, visually just melt into everything. really helped. And like a couple days after that, I was good, but then it went back to like being all numbed out. After being numb, it's like the same feeling that that antidepressant shit gave me was like revealed to my soul, but I kept on getting the drip or something. It's like really, I don't know how to describe it other than it was like I was numb except not passive towards it. Like I guess to feel it though, I was in my soul.
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying. That's a complicated feeling.
Dude, yeah, but
I understand. I think I've experienced
I'm
moments
sure.
of that in my life.
Delta 8s, man.
Yeah. For however long that's legal. You can buy gummies and hash and, bud that's has this chemical Delta 8 THC in it, which is, Delta 9 is the stuff that gets you high. It's the tiniest little bit different.
Yeah, it's so fucking silly, man.
The law has not cracked down on it. So here in Indiana, we cannot get legal weed, but you can legally go to a gas station and buy these Delta 8 products that contain basically THC. It's the same shit.
Well, he gave me a 25 milligram edible.
Nice stone. It's pleasant.
Yeah.
Just a little...
Like really just enough to feel it, to be like a little spacey. I don't have any anxiety other than like, okay, we're trying to create content, like keep the faucet going, dumbass.
Yeah. You don't want to let it stall and hinder, but...
Yeah, but nice, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah. I always try to share, share the goods.
You always do. So just to wrap up that little segment, I feel empowered by this garden. It gives me hope, man. Like it's a physical thing in front of me. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, I have a goal, and that's like to start becoming not 100% dependent on the system. And that's like something in front of me that not only I can look at and can see, but like I can go into that dirt and become a part of it, and like eventually eat some, and like the energy, like you know this, I've heard you say this, like it's a positive feedback loop. Like you're putting energy into the food, they're taking energy from the earth, and then boom, you take that in and use that energy.
Yeah.
Like that's not something I'm super familiar with. Like my dad's garden, one of the things we did make were Parmesan encrusted, super thinly baked zucchini.
Ooh, yeah.
That was great, but it was like
fried zucchini. It's fire.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like potato.
And cantaloupe. They had cantaloupe that was like eating ice cream.
I love melons just in general.
Yeah, dude.
That is not a joke about boobs. Although melons are nice, but I mean, cantaloupe, watermelon, honeydew.
Dude, homegrown cantaloupe. If it's like slightly warm too, you just eat it like ice cream, man.
I hope, for real, I think one of the things I've been looking for the last few months, just in general, is like signs of hope, like signs of moving forward, like signs that society has not just collapsed into this mass of, mask-wearing, frightened people following directions. I think there's something to be said for that, and aside from all the politics and everything, it's just not a good, healthy way to approach life.
No.
Everyone is paranoid and fear and seeking guidance from some, basically metaphorical father figure. Daddy government, what, can I go out today? The virus is out. It's after 10 o'clock. It makes no sense. And so I've been looking for, signs of hope and signs of people moving forward. And I'm starting to see it. I'm starting to see a lot of innovations and a lot of stuff that, of course, it starts small and grassroots kind of thing, but if me and you are both growing food, we can't be the only ones. There have got to be plenty of, particularly younger people, like 20s and 30s out there, getting to that point in life of wanting to be more dependent, more independent, and more mature, and do some of these things. I think in America, it's almost kind of laid out that up through your earlier mid-20s, you don't really participate in the real society.
Yeah, definitely.
In general,
I'm barely there, dude, and I'm 30.
Yeah.
Like, this is the second job ever where I've worked, and I'm not just going in for the paycheck. I mean, I wouldn't go there if I wasn't getting paid, but, like, I'm an active member. I'm an active employee. Like, I watch out for people on my level that, like, need help. If they need me to stay, extra, I'll stay. Like, that's a good representation of, like, that just mindless, like, oh, they told me to get a job, I got a job, now I get the paycheck, but how does it work?
I think there's a lot of people, unfortunately, that drift through most of their life on that level. That, like, they accept this pre-slotted role. I'm supposed to work 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, so I'll do that. And they find, they go through the process and they get maybe the degree, maybe not, work the job for 40 years. Do
you ever wonder if those people are happier? Or do you think it's just not a broad of a spectrum?
I've thought about it a lot. But my personal experience has been that most of those people just end up feeling stuck. I don't think it's so much they want to be there. I think at some point they realize they're on this treadmill of I'm doing the same
But I think
thing
that's like some Darwinian survival of the fittest. Like, you got to innovate if you're stuck. Like,
having the motivation and everything and the courage to try new things, jump out there, switch it up. Some people, I guess, don't seem to have that.
Yeah, and a thing I think we've really lacked, this is where, like, trades are really good. And I've only observed, like, I haven't experienced this. And I kind of brought this up last time. That's why I'm such a big Owen Benjamin fan, man, is because as a man, you have a father. And it is drastically, like, important to have a father.
Yeah.
Like, not just have him there, but like a healthy relationship that will benefit you the rest of your life if you have that. But then you need your external, like, mentor father figure as well. So an outsider who, like, can look at your life objectively and then, like, give you the best advice that they have to offer, help you work through your problems. And I don't think a lot of young men have that. And I'm like, not that I need to figure it out, but Owen Benjamin is like, get out of debt, quit watching porn, grow a garden, and realize. And he doesn't, like, say this so directly. I've just, like, combed this out that humans are the most valuable resource, dude.
Yeah.
Like, that's how you start a movement. That's how you grassroots shit, like you just said, man. Like, that's only from person to person, and then just let it grow.
Well,
like,
one single person can change the world. It's happened plenty of times.
Yeah.
And you start to multiply that with like-minded people heading in a positive direction, and I think we can get this society back on track. It's just going to take a little bit of work.
Yeah, I'm kind of...
And if not the society, at least some pockets within it.
Right.
You know?
Pockets of the future.
Subculture.
Shout out Paul Romano. That dude's pretty cool. Pockets of the Future, YouTube. I guess I'm doing a shout out. But yeah, I'm kind of the school of thought that it's going to be these, like, it's going to be way more tribal. Not like the whole mass production, mass frequency. I think is really starting to dissipate. Like,
so many, like, niche little groups and pockets. Like,
and
everything exists now. You can find whatever you want.
Yeah,
it's just a matter of
I was going to say it started with, like,
internet.
Something. Well, because of the internet. But it started like the subgenres of punk. Like, you have 77 punk, you have 80s hardcore, you have post punk, you have glam punk. Like, you have all that, but it's all part of the rock and roll movement.
Yes.
And
I think we're seeing a re-emergence of that kind of thing culturally. I think within, I don't even know what to categorize them, just free-thinking people. You know, it seems to be all throughout the internet, all throughout the society. There's this emergence of they're all different groups. They all have their own flavor or different personalities, people. But the thing that I really enjoy that I've seen that I think is growing is people just interested in independent thought and in separating from the herd in some way or another and just doing their own thing, going their own way. I think that's growing.
How long did it take you to realize the corona business, the pandemic, was way more a spell than it was, being conscientious for the global citizens of Earth?
I mean, that was my instinctive thought right away. And at the time, you got to imagine, I'm like, I just lost a job. My dad gets sick around this time, and I was looking into a lot of QAnon stuff, reading a lot of conspiracies. Didn't fully believe, but like my mind was going that direction. I was looking down all these rabbit holes and considering. And when the corona thing came out, I was following all sorts of different sources, and just the mix mash of semi-official stuff not matching up, and then all the different independent reports coming in. It was fishy from the beginning. Things didn't add up from day one.
Yeah.
And then it just spiraled out of control to 2 + 2 = 5 is the best way I can describe this shit now.
I didn't know this because I never looked into it that hard. Speaking of Pockets of the Future YouTube channel, he got the coronavirus, and he believes that there is an outbreak of this new novel coronavirus, but he posts some of the CDC guidelines, and I did not know that it says if you're in close proximity of another person, and you are going to be and you're going to be with them longer than 15 minutes, masks do nothing.
Yeah, I don't think there's any proof they do anything in the first place. But yeah, the CDC has contradicted themselves many times, and if you read through their documents, it's bizarre.
Right. It's
hypocritical, and the stories don't always match up. Their numbers change. The whole thing just seems fishy. So you were like that right out of the gate.
Mm-hmm. I guess I like I just bought into it more than I realized. But I mean, still, as being the person that I am, I've never given the ultimate authority to authority. Yeah. So I never bought into it, but I was really just being polite.
Yeah.
But then once I remember when I first heard the term, we're going to do this for 6 weeks, and I just it was a couple weeks until they were like, okay, we got to lock this down for 6 weeks, and I was like, oh, this isn't.
Well, that's
going to be 6 weeks.
What was freaking me out, because I look at things from I'd call it a libertarian point of view. I'm looking at how much authority is this giving government? Are they overstepping it? Are rights being observed? It's something I've always been passionate about.
Yeah.
And so to me, just seeing places lock down, restrict people's movement, and this whole thing going worldwide the way that it did, it's just, there has never been a response like that before in history to a disease, to whatever. So why would we start now? And why is suddenly everyone okay with giving the government all this authority that they don't have? And that's what fucked me up, just right from the beginning. And I was hopeful that there was some good, positive conspiracy underneath it, that some good was going to come out of this. It was a smoke screen for whatever, but that didn't come to fruition. The whole thing seems to, I can't pretend to know exactly what and why, but it definitely is a huge big pharma push for vaccines, which is suspicious to me.
Yeah,
especially considering
before anyone was saying it, I thought that it was also a way to usher in this new biotech. The whole mRNA, quote-unquote, vaccine, which isn't a vaccine. I get it.
That's what freaked me out, because I was watching Alex Jones 10 years ago in 2012 in his movie Endgame saying, in 2020, the goal will be to spread this virus to give everyone a vaccine with the chip in it. And it happened the more that time goes on, the more I am starting to think Alex Jones might have been telling the truth about just about everything the whole time. He gets misinformation out there, and the shit he's not allowed to say now, but I think for the most part he's aiming at truth, and he backs things up with a ton of facts.
Yeah, but he doesn't go after Israel. That's a big...
Yeah, there's an accusation that he might be a Mossad agent, or that's.
I don't think he's necessarily a Mossad. Man, when people try to break, like, and obviously I don't know, grew up in Lafayette. I mean. Just
saying that a lot of things the guy said over the years that sounded crazy to everyone at first. You know, there's a guy that runs a pedophile island, and the elites are connected, and it has to do with the CIA. He was saying all this shit 10 years ago. And then sure enough, he even named Epstein years before he was arrested. So, like, how much of his shit really is dead on? Because he has a goddamn good track record at this point.
Yeah.
In my book. And yeah, he's goofy. He plays a character. He hawks products. Like, there's a lot I don't like.
Yeah. So, oh, man, I listened to this stream the other day that was like, it's just like shit that I know, but like I don't really apply. Yeah, every supplement comes from food found in nature. So to me, that just backs up more so that we're not ever gonna see a food shortage, but like nutrient density shortage.
Well, we already have that.
Yeah, like we're already there. Like man, it's some goofy shit. Like every vitamin comes from a natural occurring source. So if you're eating those naturally occurring sources, why do you need the vitamins? Why do you like?
Yeah, most people, I think, though, especially in America, do not have the kind of diet they need to get their vitamins, nutrients from food alone. Like, they're not eating greens. They're not eating a variety of fruits and vegetables and, you know, all the things you would need to get your micronutrients. And I don't know. Vitamin supplementation is... I've seen different studies.
Yeah,
different
I've
results,
seen a lot.
But I get your point. It all does ultimately come from the ground and come from nature. And I think the best... If you can find a natural solution or something in a plant or an herb that works, I think that should be the place we go first. And our society has kind of reversed that because you can't get a patent on a plant, or at least you couldn't before. And now Monsanto and the GMO seeds, and it's gotten crazy. But you could never patent just an herb that's already out there, and so they started making all these pharmaceutical medications. And the industry grew to the point that it bought out sectors of our government. And now they just run free and do what the fuck they want.
Yeah.
And it's a very unhealthy approach. But I think in the midst of all this and all the bullshit our government has done and the, you know, whatever, I think people have started waking up to these things, though. And I hope there's more and more people doing their own research, considering alternative points of view, trying things out for themselves, researching, studying for themselves. I hope, you know? And I think that's a good... They can come out of this age.
Yeah.
This weird era.
Yeah, the masks went on, but the real mask of human nature and what we've grown comfortable with came off. So it's like, yeah, we had to put on a physical mask if you made them... or if you let them make you. But yeah, so much is... Like, I'm great. I thought 2020 was a great fucking year, other than having multiple friends that I moved away from. You know, I've missed the homies. But I've been getting so much momentum.
Yes.
Because, you know, any pretty radical bias that I had... was like, I would say more were confirmed than
shattered.
Yeah, like, dude, they really want us to just cuck. Like, and it's, real quick. It's not even like direct, like, I don't know how direct the psyops are. I just think they all come from a certain frequency. And it's not so much like, okay, we want you to wear a mask because of this. They want you to do something based from a certain frequency, and then that's like they keep on going back to that level of operation.
Psychological programming.
Yeah.
You know, you tell someone to do something, you make the association over and over again, a familiar. Yeah, it's weird to me because it seems like out of that, almost two separate societies are emerging in a way of the people wearing two masks, walking around looking fearful, and the ones who aren't, just going about life like normal, living.
Yeah, and I refuse to abandon my fellow man. So, like, if you're masked up, I struggle with my own human nature. So I will try my hardest not to judge you and come from a place of understanding. But if you're a nonsense person, I'm not going to abandon you, but I'm not going to let you impose any of your illogical fear, just unquestioning faith and authority. Like, I'm not going to let that dictate anything that I do, but just know that I probably still love you. And I think that's a big thing. Like, the false binaries of everything either being black or white, to where, like, look outside. Have you ever seen a pastel pink and blue sunset, baby? Yeah. There's like there's no barrier in between the pink pastels and the blue. There's no like, okay, flows. Like it bleeds together. And that's a good representation for
reality.
Yeah.
The universe. Yeah.
Man, like,
we're one giant inseparable organism in some sort of crazy way. And I really believe that, and I have felt that plenty of times. And as such, you have to treat your fellow man just like Jesus said. I mean, it's very simple, a golden rule. Treat other people how you'd like to be treated. Because in a sense, they are you. In a different vessel.
But then I get that, but then you start getting to like past trauma and mental emotional damage. So it's like if somebody likes abuse, punishment, but it's like subconscious, then they want to inflict that upon you. Mm-hmm. It's like they're living by their golden rule, like. They want you to suffer because they want to suffer.
Yeah, but that's not in the spirit.
No, I
understand
get
what you're saying. There are people that definitely live like that. But
stupid asterisks.
I think, that's where it becomes an issue. I don't mind anybody doing their own thing, doing whatever they want. If you want to wear 6 masks and it makes you feel better, do it. I just have the issue when it starts being imposed upon me, especially when it's arbitrary and lacking evidence.
Yeah.
But even with evidence, who gave anyone the right, to force me to walk around with a mask on, or to be home at a certain time, or to only have half the people in my business? As free human beings, like if I want to take a chance and go into a crowded restaurant in the middle of a pandemic, shouldn't that be my right as an adult?
Definitely.
I can buy cigarettes, I can buy booze, I can join the army. I can't decide whether or not I'm comfortable taking the risk of getting sick with a goddamn flu. That's where, to me, it hits such levels of an absurdity and just insult. It insulted me to think that there are people that think we should just comply in this kind of way, and there are people that want to impose that and seem to enjoy it.
Yeah.
It fucks with my head. I don't understand where those people are operating from. I can only assume that it's like greed and self-interest that boils into this, but it seems like they're almost like soul corrupted in a kind of way. That it's hard for me to imagine having a soul and a conscience and a connection to everyone and still being the kind of person that would want to impose your will upon others, control others, take control of their life, take their resources, whatever the thing is. I can't resonate with that. I've really tried to wrap my head around it, and I'm not that guy. I don't have that interest in putting myself ahead of everybody else. I mean, obviously, I do to some extent. We all have evolved to survive. In a life and death situation, your body's going to react. You're going to save yourself. Your instinct is to save yourself. But I don't ever feel the need to control other people's lives, you know? And I don't understand people that do. I guess I can only assume that they're in it either for power or because they want everyone to be like them, like a comfort thing. I really can't quite figure it out. I've been thinking about this most of my life.
I've in past relationships, I've struggled with some forms of like control, but based on things that another person would do that would affect me. So I'd want them to stop. But then, you evolve consciously and you realize that is your problem, not their problem. And it's really your coping mechanism to deal with what they're doing that bothers you because that reminds you of something, that triggers you, whatever. So like I can, but now that I'm here, consciously, like, so I can understand a stretch from that perspective. But I work with this lady, man, and like, she loves being in control. And it is I mean, I have a really physical job. I don't, have a lot of thought involved in my work, so I'm often either just flowing, or just rolling over shit, thinking about it in my head. Is that because of the control that you've never had?
That's my general assumption.
Yeah, it's got to be because like there is something neurotic, and I notice it more in just blatantly in like a direct observation. I notice it in older ladies more so. Yeah. Like just being direct and upfront about it. Like I've met some crazy dudes in my life that are like, no, if you don't put that fucking fork over here. Like
a woman on a power trip's a different animal.
Yeah,
like,
dude.
It's bad. But yeah, I think it probably does. Usually stem out of childhood. I can only imagine those people had like real strict, mean parents, like wouldn't let them explore their own ideas, told them what to do, when to do it. In whatever sense, maybe parents or classmates, teachers, like somewhere along the way, they felt like they were being pushed around, and so when they get the chance, they want to push somebody else around.
No, so this is why
you get that scenario with cops a lot, any authority position. People that want to boss others around and to get that control they never had.
This is why starting a garden is the answer to. It's a small revolutionary act, but dude, you're fine. Dude, it's amazing. Like it is a small little thing you can control.
Yes,
but it's not an unhealthy control. It's like. The seeds are going to sprout and reach for the sun regardless the fuck what you do, unless you completely starve them.
Nature has done the work. The operating system is built into the seed. The whole blueprint is there. All you got to do is get it a little water and some sun.
Right.
A little bit of nitrogen, potassium, and phosphate.
Yeah.
And
baby.
Basically, I was thinking about this a few minutes ago. Plants basically become like solar batteries.
Yeah.
You're taking this energy from the sun, but there's solar batteries you can eat, which is the coolest fucking thing ever. We're just like running around chomping sun energy all the time.
No, I mean, sunlight literally powers everything on the planet directly or indirectly.
It is all light. I think there's a way to look at that and come to the metaphysical conclusion from the simple physical. It's all light. The light from the sun feeds the plants that feed us and the animals. It's all sunlight.
Yeah, that's where I do get caught up. I think a lot of people don't like this, but the Higgs boson thing, man. It's could be a spell. Because there is like a duality to life. There is the yin and the yang. There is the sun and the moon. There's a lot of... I don't even know what you refer to that. There's a lot of duality in life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So to make the spell work, they had to attach their explanation of fake world to where I don't think it's a particle and a wave, man. I
understand what you're saying.
when you
I don't know enough
this was
about
inspired.
that stuff, though, to...
This
I'm
was
not a
inspired by
quantum
somebody else,
physicist.
but their little experiment box is like hundreds of thousands of dollars. You can't
More than that, but yeah.
like you can't figure that out.
On your own. Yeah, you can
Yeah.
test their...
So I'm just going to disregard that
There's,
until you can, or until I realize that yeah, that's bullshit. Because to make light a particle, dude, is literally taking the most like metaphysical, beautiful something that is the most something and the most nothing
Sure.
material and making it material. Like that's awfully convenient when you're trying to get everyone to just consume.
There is an aspect to that, but I think both can be true. It's just a matter of not getting lost completely in one or the other, but especially in the material. I think you can observe something in like a reductionist material way that makes it just concrete 3D, this is what it is, but also see the spiritual, metaphysical beauty and side of the thing also.
Yeah. Oh,
It's
well,
just
I mean,
when
dude,
it's a
look.
one-sided view, and that's what they try to present to people, is minus the spirit, minus the magic, whatever you want to call it, the God. When you strip that away, yeah, it is just material. Everything just becomes a product, a commodity. That's something that pervades my psyche that I wish I could get away from. But it's such a part of everyday life. Like, everything is bought and sold. I trade occasionally stocks, cryptos. Not huge dollar, but hoping
Yeah.
someday I get there. But I see where it's corrupting. To live in that kind of world where everything is just reduced to its function and value and stripped away
Yeah,
from its
dude.
essence.
We were talking about that earlier, man. Profit is the principal just goal. Like, just take a moment to stop. It can be for 3 seconds. It doesn't even have to, like, you don't have to meditate every day for 20 minutes, but just like the beginning of your day, just like, am I alive? Yes. Is that a trip? Yes. Are you next to somebody you love? Do you love yourself? Like, there's a couple things just to stop in the moment and just really like let yourself it can just be a couple of seconds, but just let yourself get baffled by your own existence. So yeah, they can buy and sell all they want, but you don't always have to. Like, you don't have to look into that. And that's, I mean, dude, that is the whole entire goal from my observations of Beartaria. Like, there is, I don't know, probably hundreds of thousands of people. I mean, they have people in Ireland, they have people in Australia and Wales and England. I think there's like Japanese bears, dude.
Oh, shit.
Dude,
Okay.
like it is now global.
I didn't
And
know it was that big.
let alone, I actually haven't bartered with anybody on Beartaria times, but the resources I've gotten, like I tried this stupid soil-based PVC garden in my basement, and people gave me all these resources on, like, if I'm going to try that, like, you might want to read this first. Or when I was, I was looking for local beef because I'm tired of supporting industrialized animal agriculture. These people just there was just so many resources, and that's why I said earlier that the human resource is an undervalued resource as a consumer.
Yeah,
and I think
we
we've kind of
don't-
been programmed that way. I don't know if it's intentional or
the
not, but
system top down looks at us as resources, value.
but we don't look
labor.
at each other.
Yeah, we're playing different games.
Yeah.
And I don't like their game, but I think you have to see it and play it a little bit to not be stuck on the bottom forever. Because there you have no power.
Yeah.
They created a system where you have to play to be able to make any change, to be able to do anything any different. And that is like my personal soul sickness and what's so frustrating to me just about this time, this era. But bringing it all back, you can always grow your own food. I can buy, and this does still go back to buy and sell, but I can get a pack of seeds for $2 that will grow me, vegetables for months.
Possible. Like, I was thinking about this as I hit you up the other day. One pepper. You buy one pepper today. There were 79 cents at the Kroger grocery store. One pepper has, 30 seeds in it. Each of those seeds can grow 30 more seeds. Yep. So that's 900 seeds. Yeah, that's 900 seeds. And then those 900 seeds can grow 27,000 seeds. Like,
we've been removed from the base of the supply chain. Once society changed and was no longer based on farming and agrarian work, we became industrial and started seeing food as a product. I think people are removed from the idea that, like, you can make this at home.
Yeah.
Like, you can. This is a thing you can do. You can grow this. It doesn't only come at the store for $2.99. You could spend $2.99 on seeds and grow 50 of them. Give some to your neighbors. Sell a couple. Put it into Dogecoin. Get rid. Like, the possibilities are endless if you're willing to play a little bit and use your mind and not lose sight of that spiritual side and the connection and what it's all about. Because if you lose that, it's over with. Then you're just one of the cronies playing the game.
Yeah, man, literally. So, to anybody listening, yesterday I felt like I was reborn. 4 days before that, I went through some pretty drastic, some pretty dynamic spiritual hell to where I felt my soul was dying. And yesterday I literally thought I was reborn. I look at the Schumann resonance bot on Twitter, and it gives you these little line graphs of the electromagnetic frequencies of the Earth. And man, when I saw them, it like all made sense. Mm-hmm. And I even made a joke on the second day, which wasn't the worst. I made a joke to Church of Annalmas, and then the next day and the next day after that were far worse. And then this huge mega surge happened yesterday. And it was like, that was the day I felt like I was reborn. But
I had a rough day on and off yesterday. It was weird. I got nauseous for some reason. Back and forth, had some weird stuff going on. There's an energetic shift, I think.
It was an energetic day. But kind of what I said earlier, just let yourself be baffled every once in a while, because as soon as you're just looking to spend, and that's what you think life is, you're
doing it wrong. Yeah,
you're doing it. Yeah, you're doing it wrong.
When we were younger, you remember our friend Matt,
yeah,
right? And he got into selling weed. Me and him for a while were doing that together, and I could see it in him within a few weeks that he became like addicted to the money, to the profit, to the business. And I've seen that happen to people.
Yeah.
Where particularly people have never had anything, when they suddenly come into a little bit of money and feel like they're getting something, a lot of times they turn obsessive. And maybe not a lot, but there's certainly a personality trait and type out there.
Well, that's almost like a survival instinct. You have this new resource, you don't want it to go away.
Sure.
You want to follow that.
But I think that's perhaps the most corrupting addiction.
Yeah, dude, I've been to
a pretty bad, but money will make people do things that I don't even think drugs could do.
Yeah, I've tried selling my soul.
Damn.
It was pretty lengthy. I wrote out a contract. I even signed it, but I didn't perform the ritual. And then I realized it's not mine to sell. And that, I think you have to believe it. And it's not that I don't believe in that. My life from that point was hell for several years. So I think I paid for it in one way or another for just attempting to do so. But I've been told through different occultists that, You can have the paper, you can have the ideas, but it's really the ritual and the belief where the transaction happens. Like,
It has to do with will and intention. In
Yeah.
my experience, there has to be an actual faith and belief and like motivation behind it for things to really work. But if you can get in that vibe and there's something you can actually do, you can make things happen that people wouldn't believe. You got to experience it for yourself.
yeah,
I think most people go into it, you're looking at the occult or these magical works or whatever, as if it's some, weird hocus pocus silly shit. And then they'll open up an Aleister Crowley book, try it, and live 3 months of hell because they unleashed some shit they don't understand. Like, there is a real component to it. Whether that's demons, spirits, metaphysical, or if it's something more simple. Or it's something, to do with hacking the code of reality, so to speak. There's something that happens when you dabble with some of this stuff. And you gotta be cautious. It is not
yeah, please.
You might think it's a joke, but you go through some of that
Yeah,
stuff
and-
at midnight
but-
with your candle lit and some shit.
The
can
same
happen.
the same thing that I worry about kids going through, like from day one, you have a phone, about the drug markets, all the stuff that I'm scared for of future generations. Like, you got to think back, like you dabbled in that, right?
Which part?
The occulted,
I've looked into all of it, yeah.
yeah. Well, I dabbled.
I mean, I've practiced a few spells and rituals and stuff. I've made some wild things happen.
Yeah.
I didn't really get into the dark side of it.
Well,
but I looked at that.
I got into the dark side while I was in this band Tendrils They Sound, and that like gave me an insight to the whole entire spiritual dimension. It was just introduced to the wrong side, but so if I'm like, yeah, please don't go practice magic like ignorantly, I did, and now I'm here. I'm like,
And I think some of that too is when you go into it with this weird curiosity and you're thinking of it as this weird. I think you create some more of that.
yeah.
If like the fear in the back of your mind is like, what if I accidentally call up a demon? You're more likely to make
It's
some
like,
shit
oh,
like
I
that
heard you were
happen.
scared of calling
Yeah,
a demon.
It really works like that. Like some shit you think isn't going to happen, you read through this little spell book, burn a candle, do whatever, and yeah, later that night, you have the force of a demon messing with you. You have a car break down suddenly, unexpectedly, or someone calls having an emergency. Like, there's some shit that can happen. It can be positive too. I've dabbled a little and got to a certain vibe. I'm gonna win a lottery ticket. Went and bought a scratch off, $50, and then it further affirmed it, and that built the ego and everything. But there is a good and bad side to it. But you got to be cautious. And I think the best magic that we can do is transmuting our labor and hard work and ideas into the reality we want. I think that's magical too. And people don't frame it that way. But that's one place, the garden, I think
Once
can
again,
help out a lot. You take your hard work, you put it into the soil, you plant your seeds, and you reap the results. You've just transmuted your work and your idea into an edible product that will sustain your life.
Yeah.
That's the magic of being human. We are constantly performing magical acts.
Oh yeah, I think we're way more. I think one of the biggest spells ever is telling kids that magic isn't real. Like, it takes
Say
a
it
child to tell an
instinctively, no.
adult, like, look at the sun, like, oh, that's magic, and you're like, silly. That's a mix of photons
Yeah.
that are both waves and particles.
Yeah.
You just don't understand. They're like,
That requires, I think, almost more faith and belief than the other version.
yeah,
I think you can leave it at a level of just what you feel and what makes sense, what is intuitively right for you, and try to live that and manifest it and not worry about, all the other shit. And that's kind of where I've been for a while, and it works great for me. I am a bit of a weirdo, for sure.
Oh,
I'm
me
not
too,
trying to fit in with
brother.
the mainstream of society. I don't care. Really.
oh yeah, thank
just want to be
God.
me, And I want to see if there's other like-minded people out there that just you want to have discourse and conversations and think about some shit, approach it in a different way. Tell me where my ideas are wrong. I love that. And I think the spirit of debate has kind of been killed with the politics the last few years. But it's like, if I feel passionately about something and you can show me that I'm dead wrong, you have just like transformed my life and turned me from an ignorant prick into a more useful person. And I think
I think that'd be the biggest resource that I haven't even intended of doing a cast like this. Like, I'm on a different level of existence than I was, 5 years ago. But I'm still naive about all sorts of shit. I'm still a dreamer. I'm still hopeful as all get out. But I do like being based in reality. And reality can be so different from person to person. So I just second that. I welcome anyone. Let me know what I got wrong. Let me know. It'd be cool, like, instead of, like, getting an audience members, we get a network of, like, just like-minded people that are tired of, like, I haven't figured it all out, but, I mean, I can count on both hands how many YouTubers I think are not only, like, bringing the truth and bringing positivity and, like, an innovation to the truth and to like being productive and positive. I can count. No, I can use both hands, but I mean I just feel it out there that everyone's trying to like franchise themselves so hard. It's about creating content. It's not about the content you've created.
Yeah, numbers, quantity over quality.
Yeah, if 5 people listen to this and they're like, "Yo, I started a garden." Yeah. Or they are like, hey, I'm trying to sprout these seeds. Like, what happens when this? Like, I'd be stoked. Let alone,
Yeah, I'm not interested in millions of views and any of that kind of stuff. What matters to me is if we can make, first off, just the time spent between me and you.
Yeah,
I enjoy sitting here chopping.
That's really. But we can think whatever, but that's number one. Like.
If half a dozen people out there, listened and heard something that made them think more deeply or consider their view, change their view, do something in the world, then that's the benefit. That's the goal. That's all I could ever hope to achieve. I'm not interested in giggles and comments. Like, I'd love to see somebody actually take something away from it. Even if, they hear a passing clip while they're in the car with a friend. Oh, shit, there was a good idea there. That's the kind of thing I'd like to foster more of. Yeah,
so giving momentum to, like, genuine, whatever you think a good thought is.
Mm-hmm. And I think in the future, we'll probably set up some sort of website, community, something. As of right now, we're starting on the ground floor. We don't even know if anybody's going to watch this, but, be nice if anybody does. And we're going to continue putting these out, hopefully about one a week, for as long as we feel like it, as long as anybody's watching. If you're interested, shoot us an email.
FlyOver Statements Podcast @gmail.com.
Leave a comment, just something. Let us know you're watching, let us know you care. If there's any topic you want to hear about, or if you'd want to come hang out, do on the show. We're in Indiana. If anybody's available, has some ideas to share.
We got Zoom, baby.
Come on down. If it's less than 2 or 3 hour drive, I'm sure we'll make it happen.
Hell yeah.
I think that's
about it for today. Hey, enjoy the ride. Check out FlyOver Statement Podcast on YouTube. If you're watching this, you already know, so that's retarded.
Grow some vegetables, motherfuckers.
Grow garden. Fucking keep it easy, baby.
I just want to see you get something out there.
scared of